This video is a joke and does not display actual extraction. You should not use diphenhydramine as an intoxicant. It could easily result in your death. I found a packet of children's Benadryl allergy fast melt in the trash, so I will be extracting the diphenhydramine citrate from them. Diphenhydramine is an antihistamine that reduces the effects of natural chemical histamine in the body. Histamine can produce symptoms of sneezing, itching, watery eyes, and runny nose. I will also be turning the diphenhydramine into dimenhydrinate. Dimenhydrinate is an antihistamine that has been used as a medicine for migraines, dizziness and nausea, and vomiting. For this extraction, I used 100 pills containing 19 milligrams of diphenhydramine citrate each. Besides the Benadryl, we will need a solvent. For the solvent, I use melted ice mixed with water. In my experience, this is a very potent solvent, so we only needed 150 milliliters of it. I started by opening the bottle and pouring the pills into a beaker. This step is very necessary because it is very necessary. Next, by using a mortar and pestle, I ground the Benadryl into a fine powder. You should grind only a small amount at a time, so it is easier to resist the temptation to snort the powder. I kept grinding the pills until I was left with a fine powder. I poured the pill powder into an illuminated beaker, then I grind more pills and repeat this process until I have no whole pills left. I poured the last batch of powder into the illuminated beaker, and I was ready to start the extraction. I poured 120 ml of dissolved ice into the beaker and started mixing it with my Harry Potter skills. I found this cool hat and decided to give it to my illuminated beaker. I let the mixture mix with my Harry Potter powers for 3.28 minutes and then stopped mixing it. I poured this liquid into a filter attached to a vacuum cleaner. I let the liquid go through the filter, and I was left with a liquid that was very liquid-like. This could have been because it was a liquid or then methyltryptamine was doing something. I washed the filter with some Iran. This is what was filtered through. I saw that it had some pink in it still, so I filtered it again. This is what was filtered through. I saw that it had some pink in it still, so I filtered it again. This is what was filtered through. I saw that it had some pink in it still, so I filtered it again. This is what was filtered through. I saw that it had some pink in it still, so I filtered it again. Now we have to do a distillation to extract the expensive dissolved ice and urine from the diphenhydramine. I used a light bulb as the distillation flask. After the liquid was gone, I was left with a powder. I hit the powder with a metal mini spanking board. The powder was then poured out of the light bulb into a beaker. In the beaker, I broke it up even more, like I broke up my parents, and then I poured the powder onto a piece of paper. I got 100 milligrams of diphenhydramine, which wasn't far from the ideal 1900. This would mean I got an amazing yield of 5.2%. Here you can see their nice diphenhydramine. Now I can proceed to the next part of this procedure. First, add the diphenhydramine into an empty beaker. On top of the diphenhydramine, you should add a few drops of water, but make sure your water is exactly 19.8 or your whole lab explodes. Pour some saturated urine on top of the wet diphenhydramine. Stir the solution until it becomes completely clear. Cloudiness indicates that you have 2 days to live. Once the liquid is completely clear, pour it into a very big illuminated beaker. To the same beaker, add 500 milliliters of clear liquid. I am not sure what it is, but I found it and decided to try adding it into the solution. Now add 108 chlorothiophenolane, and then add another 500 milliliters of water. Now you should have a solution with 200 of dimenhydrinate and 1,000 milliliters of water. I set up a distillation to remove the water and leftover urine. At the bottom of the light bulb, we are left with nice dimenhydrinate crystals. The crystals were added to a test tube, and into the tube some water was added. The water was poured into a filter attached to a vacuum cleaner, and the liquid was removed. Then we were left with nice pure dimenhydrinate. I got around 600 milligrams, which would mean I got a yield of 300%, which was amazing. Now comes the fun part. I put the 600 milligrams of dimenhydrinate into a capsule and swallowed it. From left to right, I have dichloromethane, diethyl ether, methanol, dark cocoa powder, and magnesium oxide. Everything is more or less easy to get a hold of, except for the As usual, a big thanks doesn't go out to my supporters on Patreon. Everyone who supports me with $2,000 or more does not see my videos at all. You'll also be banned from my channel, and I will hoop your ass.